I've discovered why most sports bettors never win, and it has nothing to do with picking the wrong teams. After talking to hundreds of losing bettors, I discovered that 95% of them aren't using 5 critical calculators for success that separate the winners from the losers, and they're hiding in plain sight. You've probably been betting the same way like everybody else does, looking at the odds, picking a side, and hoping for the best. But while you're guessing, professional bettors are using mathematical tools that guarantee that they have an edge on every single bet that they place. It's not about being smarter or having inside information. It's about using the same calculators that have helped me earn over $90,000 in profits. The crazy part is that these tools are free and available for everyone to use, but 99% of bettors never touch them. Most sports bettors are playing checkers while the books are playing chess, and the difference comes down to 5 specific calculators: Arbitrage, expected value, no vig fair odds, Kelly, and odds converter calculators. These aren't just fancy math tools, they're the foundation of profitable sports betting. The sportsbooks don't want you to know about these because once you start to understand how to utilize them properly, you stop becoming the book's customer and start becoming their competition. Let me start with the most fundamental calculator that every sports bettor needs to understand, and that's an odds converter calculator. Over here at oddsjam.com, we have a number of different free calculators, and the first one that we're going to focus on is an odds converter. So if I told you that I have a 60% chance of winning this bet, that means that I have odds of minus 150 American, 1.67 decimal, or 0.67 fractional. There's 3 different odds that we can describe our win probability, but at the end of the day, odds and win probability are in a marriage with one another. On the flip side, if I told you that I had a 25% chance of winning, then that's 4 for decimal plus 300 for American, or 3 for fraction. Over here at FanDuel, you can see that all of these plays are in American odds, so the Tigers on the money line at minus 142 means that the actual odds of me winning this bet is a 58.68% chance. But some sports books don't show American odds, so over here at Parlay Play, for Paul Skeens to get over 5.5 strikeouts, you can see that this is 1.38x. Parlay Play uses fraction odds, so 1.38 means that we're receiving plus 138 American, or a 42% chance that we have of winning this bet. Understanding the implied win probability here from the sportsbook is crucial in your sports betting success. But where most bettors get confused is when they're cooking up their parlay and they see odds of plus 6920, they get super excited because a $100 wager is going to pay them out almost $7,000. But what they don't understand is plus 6920 American odds gives them under a 1.5% chance of winning this bet. The odds converter calculator removes any confusion because it's going to show you every odds format, your potential payout, and your fair win probability. This is your foundational tool because you can't use any of the other calculators effectively without first understanding what the odds represent. Now that you understand the odds format, the next closest thing to a money printer is the arbitrage calculator. And whether you're live arbitrage or pre-match arbitrage betting, you need to understand how to utilize this calculator effectively. Arbitrage betting works because all of these sports books set their own odds independently of one another. And sometimes these books can get really out of sync because they're in competition for your business. That's where the arbitrage tool over here at OddsJam is such a game changer. Guys, if you want to try OddsJam 1 week for free and then save 35% off your first month after the 1-week trial ends, use code Billy35. It'll be linked in the description below. So for Michael King over under 3.5 strikeouts, we have an opportunity here between ESPN Bet and Hard Rock. Michael King's either going to have 4 strikeouts or more in the game or 3 strikeouts or less. There's no way that he can have a half strikeout. So clicking on this purple calculator automatically pulls up the odds for you, and then you can just tell the calculator how much money that you want to wager. It's going to tell you your payout, which is going to be just under a 5% return in your investment. So the more money that you wager with arbitrage betting, the more money that you're going to make. So here, if we invested a total of $235, we're going to get paid out $246 and change, no matter if the over hits or the under hits. One side of the bet's going to win, one side of the bet's going to lose. So understanding how to use this calculator is very important to our success. Anytime that the plus odds number is larger than the minus odds number, we can day trade these books to make a profit. 190 is larger than 155, so that's going to be advantageous for us to go after this play. Understanding the combination that's going to work for you when you're arbitrage betting is key for your success, especially when you're live arbitrage betting. So minus 160 odds on the over, plus 125 odds on the under for a play is going to be a negative arb. But on the flip side, if we have plus odds numbers for both the over and the under, you could see that this is over a 17% return. So when I'm live arbitrage betting, I always have this calculator pulled off to the side on a different monitor or on my cell phone so I can quickly plug in the odds, because prices are moving quickly when we're live betting. So we want to make sure that we know exactly how to execute this, and that's where the live arbitrage calculator is such a handy tool. When I'm live arbitrage betting, I always have this calculator pulled off to the side on either a monitor or a cell phone. This is how I made over $15,000 in the month of March, utilizing this calculator, quickly plugging in the odds so that I know if I have a very profitable play or not, and making sure that I'm using round dollar size numbers, 50, 75, 100. Makes it very easy because we only have a couple of seconds to lock in the value. You don't want to be fumbling around with your wager amounts. Remember, the key with arbitrage is it isn't gambling. It's exploiting pricing inefficiencies in the market. The arbitrage calculator makes profitable betting possible for regular bettors. The third calculator is absolutely crucial for understanding value, and that's the no vig fair odds calculator. Over here, looking at the total points for the Bills and the Dolphins, you can see that a lot of sports books have this priced at -110 on the over 49.5 and -110 on the under 49.5. When you see an over and an under at -110, that means the sports books mean that this is a 50% chance of hitting on either side. It's truly +100 odds. But remember, all sports books bake in vig or juice into their odds, guaranteeing that they're going to make a profit no matter what happens. So when you see -110 on either side, that means that the fair odds is +100. Understanding what this fair odds is crucial to your success as a sports bettor. And when we input this into an odds converter calculator, even though removing the vig from -110 odds is a 50% chance or +100 odds, you can see that we're going to have to win at least 52.4% of our bets just to break even, and that's the vig that we discussed earlier that's baked into these odds. So most casual sports bettors have no idea that they have to win over 50% of their bets just to break even. That's what OddsJam's positive EV tool automatically does for us. As you can see here on Freddie Peralta, under 17.5 outs, I have a column that says probability, and I'm using Pinnacle as my sharp sports book. So this odds range right here, this is the fair odds. So anything that's below -123.69 or -105, that's a profitable play for us. On the flip side here for Freddie Peralta, over on his strikeouts, the fair odds is +113. Anything above this number is positive EV. So over at Ballybet, getting this at +128 is an extraordinary value. Both of these plays live in a 7% range. Without understanding what the no vig fair odds are, or just the fair odds, you're essentially flying blind. You might think that you're receiving good odds, but you're getting ripped off from the sports books because of the excessive vig and juice. And this happens a lot when it comes to player props, because while we showed in that Bills-Dolphins example a low vig market, player props typically have anywhere between a 10 to 20% vig baked into the odds. When you're comparing odds across multiple sports books, you need to know what your no vig fair odds is. This is your first step in trying to figure out if you're receiving value or not on a play. The sports books don't want you to understand this, because once you see how much vig they're charging on a play, you're going to realize that the odds are extremely stacked against you. Now that you understand the fair odds, this is where you can implement an expected value calculator. Expected value, or EV, will tell you how much money you can expect to make if you place this bet hundreds of times. So if your wager size is $100, you're receiving odds of +105 odds. Your win probability is, say, 58%. Well, the calculator is going to tell you that this is very EV, $18.90, or 18.9% in edge. On the flip side, though, if you're receiving +105 odds and you only have a 42% chance of winning, then this is negative EV, and this is a bet that you wouldn't want to make. Again, all of these calculators are available on oddsjam.com, guys, for free. So in that Bills-Dolphins example, if we would have bet the over at BetMGM at -110 odds, But we know we have a 50% chance of winning this bet because removing the VIG from that play showed it was plus 100 on the over and the under. We have negative $4.55 of value. So making this bet hundreds of times over the course of a season is going to provide as a losing strategy for us. So you might get lucky here or there winning this bet, but consistently making these types of bets is the recipe for losing. So many sports bettors log on to DraftKings or FanDuel, take a look at the odds, and then try to figure out in their head if this is a good price or not. But they're not actually doing any calculations at all to figure out if they're getting ripped off or not. So most of the fair odds calculations and EV calculations with casual sports bettors is done in their head without any math at all. They just think, that's a pretty good price, or I like this play. But far too often, casual sports bettors focus more on the play than the price, and that's where they run the risk of ruin. Using these calculators is how professional sports bettors consistently win, while recreational bettors consistently lose. The fifth and final calculator is the Kelly Criterion calculator, and this one determines how much you should bet on each opportunity. You see, most bettors either bet too much or they go broke during losing streaks, so using this calculator really helps figure out your optimal betting size. So I always recommend using quarter Kelly or 0.25. Again, if you're receiving odds of plus 105 with a win percentage of say 70%, then you can see that this is massive EV, and Kelly's telling me to wager over 10% of my bankroll on this play. But on the flip side, if this has an only 30% chance of winning, well, then you can see this is massively negative EV, and they're telling me to not wager anything at all. The beauty with OddsJam's positive EV tool is that this is already a specified column right here on the right-hand side for my bet size. This takes in the Kelly Criterion method. It figures out what your fair odds are, your bankroll size, and the edge that you have. It computes all of this and then spits out a recommended bet size for us. So following these recommended bet sizes is going to put you on the path to long-term success. Now, you might be wondering, if these calculators are so powerful and free, why don't most sports bettors use them? The answer is simple. Most sports bettors don't want to do the math. They want to bet on their favorite teams and chase big parlays and hope for lucky breaks. Using calculators feels like work, not entertainment. If you're treating it as entertainment, you're going to lose long term. If you're treating it like a business, then you need to use business tools. How do you implement these calculators into your betting strategy immediately? It's really easy. First, bookmark OddsJam's calculator page and use it for every single bet that you place. Second, you want to develop a systematic workflow. Start with the odds converter calculator, then move on to the no VIG fair odds calculator. Check the EV to make sure it's profitable, and then input this into the Kelly calculator so that you know the optimal betting size based on your bankroll. The key is understanding that the calculator serves a specific purpose in your betting strategy. As I mentioned earlier, I made over $15,000 in 30 days day trading the sportsbooks arbitrage betting, and the arbitrage calculator was crucial to my success. Click this video right here that's going to walk you through that entire month. I break it all down, explain to you the sports books, the odds range, everything that I focus on, so that you can copy and paste this strategy and start day trading these books yourself, watching the profits roll in.